Thank you for listening to the Golden Hour Drip podcast with me, Logan Lee Miller. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the Golden Hour Drip podcast. I'm your host, Logan Lee Miller. Happy Monday. Oh my gosh, another beautiful weekend has surpassed us. We are ready for the week. And I got a really sweet message from my sister, Ashley, this past weekend. And she lives in Alabama and it was feeling a little warm, right? We've had such dreary, miserable weather, right? The ice, the snow, it's winter. You know, it's winter and it's always going to be kind of crappy out. And I've been traveling to and from Iowa, visiting my mom and my brother and my little sister. And the weather has been, awfully cold. And I feel like because I've been spending so much time away from my house, right? I flew to Iowa. I spent like 2 weeks there and then I came back to Missouri. And then we had like feet of snow. Like I did not see the snow come down, but it was like I arrived to my house and it's this winter wonderland. Then I go to Iowa again. I was at my house for a couple days. I go to Iowa and it is blustering cold. It is negative temperatures. I drive back down to Missouri, and by the time I come back home in those 7 days time, all the snow has melted. It is a kind of a false spring, if you will. It's feeling a little warmer out this past weekend, but in Alabama, they had some elevated temperatures. And so it was feeling warm. And Ashley sent me a text and she was like, it's feeling warm today. It feels so good. And on Thursday or Friday last week, she had said that it smells like spring outside, like that wet ozone layer, and she texted me. She's like, oh yeah, by the way, like you remind me of spring. And that is honestly like one of the sweetest compliments I've ever gotten. I don't know if it's because my birthday is in the springtime that Ashley was like thinking of me when spring comes around. In comparison, she has an August birthday. So she's like in the fall and my sister Caitlin is in June and my sister Lily is in July. So like more of the summer birthday is there. So I don't know if she just equates like this time for me or if it was like my personality, but I love spring the most out of all of the seasons. And I try to let each season have its own time to shine, right? Like there's a time for it to be fall, there's a time for it to be winter. And I understand that, right? I don't want it to be spring all the time because there are some like downfalls to spring, right? The snow has melted and we've gotten a little bit of rain. So it is muddier than heck outside. It is like so sticky, nasty. I feel so bad for the dogs because one, it's been super, super cold out and you can't like let them be outside as long because I don't want them to get frostbitten on their paws. But now it's warmed up and they're like, okay, like there's no snow, let's run around. And I would love for them to be able to run outside, but it's going to be muddy and they're going to attract mud in the house or they're going to need a bath. And of course, they're excited for spring too. And when we can see grass, after not seeing grass for a while, they're wanting to roll in the grass and all the things. But so there's a downside to spring. I get that. But there's so much hope. There's so much renewal with spring for me. And I love springtime. I love the smells of spring. I love that it's still pretty cool out so I can have like a hot coffee, be outside. And I love summer and I love fall. And I feel like fall and summer are a bit of a favorite, right? Like if you really take a look, and there's only 4 seasons out of all the seasons. And I'm lucky to live in a state that I get to experience all of the seasons. But if we take a look at like most people love summer when they're a kid, because summer it's like no school, no responsibilities, nothing to do. And then fall, a lot of people, love fall because the temperatures are cooling down and you get to have campfires. And I feel like there's like so much culture, maybe it's not the right word, but like you get your pumpkin spice latte, you get your apple crisp syrup like in your coffee or whatever, and there's sweaters and there's fall themes. Like people love fall, and that's how I feel about spring. I love spring so much. I think it holds so much promise. And in the studio today, I opened up the windows because one, I need some fresh energy flowing, and I feel like it's just been a whirlwind, and I'll probably like, I go back and forth on this, on like trying to act like everything is okay and everything's normal, but it's not normal. It's just like a difficult and hard time for me, because I'm experiencing grief, and I feel like coming into, the house, and things are how they were when I left them. And, I might have clutter. I didn't spend New Year's Day in my home. And usually New Year's Day, I have my home prepped in a way that is like preparatory for the new year. And this year I didn't have that. So when I come home, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to freshen things up. I've opened the window. I'm trying to let some good air in, some good energy from outside, like the hope, the renewal, and all the things. So if you hear noises, I hope this mic isn't picking all of them up, but like a vehicle drove past, and I'm like, I want the fresh air. I want the fresh air. I want something to look forward to. And I think that is so cool about the seasons too. It's going to happen no matter what. Like, no matter what is happening in your life or what you're experiencing, or maybe you're in like also a period of just like not a height. It might be a pit. It might be in a pit. And I feel like right now at this period of my life, I am in a pit. I'm experiencing a loss. Like I am feeling very down, and it's okay to have those downs. It's okay to not feel okay all the time, or not feel good all the time, or not want to talk about it either, and it makes me appreciate the other times, right? Looking back on, photos or memories or things from this past. One, it's painful to do, like to look at things and think to yourself, oh my gosh, like that was a perfect time. And now it's like not the same, and that's okay. But reminding myself that we have like these low moments, we have these things that happen to us. And it doesn't mean that time will stop, right? Like time continues and it moves on. And, for me, the promise of spring is so hopeful, because I'm like, okay, like I'm not going to be stuck in this winter. I'm not going to be stuck in the sadness. A lot of people associate winter with like downtime, right? Like you're stuck in your home, you can't go anywhere. And I know that it's not officially spring. Obviously, it's still February. February is a winter month. And I know that dang groundhog said that there's going to be more winter, or at least that's what I heard from my friend. We went out to breakfast today, and I was like, I forgot. I didn't even watch. What is it? Phil shoot, what is his name? The groundhog, if he saw his shadow or not. And I can't even remember if it's like, if he sees his shadow, that means there's more, winter. If he doesn't see his shadow, then there's more winter. I don't know which one is actually true, but I'm like, oh gosh, I think we're gonna have more winter, and it feels like a false spring, right? But I know in 6 weeks, because that's about like so we're in February, March. Those are, March is kind of, end of March is spring. But I know it's like, we just have to get through a little bit, and it's going to be sunshiny out, and the days are going to be longer, and I'm not going to be like kind of stuck in this period of time. I know that the calendar month is still going to continue, right? And January always feels like such a long month, and it felt so much longer to me. It felt long and short at the same time, which is absolutely insane. But going into February, one, it's a shorter month. There's only 28 days in February, but we're going to gain some momentum, right? Like it's going to be spring soon. I'm looking forward to spring. Truly, truly, truly looking forward to being able to get outside, get some sunshine. And speaking of sunshine, right next to me, it does not look very good if you're watching on YouTube. But I have been juicing grapefruit, and oh my gosh, and grapefruit reminds me of like spring and summer, right? Like a citrus. It's not, you don't usually have like think of citrus in the winter. Maybe you do. I don't know. But for me, citrus is like summer, right? Like you have your lemonade, you have your grapefruit. Like it's very like summer vibes to me. And Brody, my little brother, he's in FFA and they were selling FFA fruit. And growing up, like I sold FFA fruit and the grapefruit is always like the best. And I ordered a box of grapefruit. So it's like 44 or 40 grapefruit, or like that's a lot of grapefruit anyways. But we were munching on the grapefruit and he dropped this off like end of November, beginning of December, and it lasts like a pretty long time as long as you have it in the fridge. You keep it cool and things. And we were working on him 40 grapefruit. That's a lot of grapefruit. And I went to the dang store and I was shopping and I was like, you know what? Oranges sound good, because I'm just thinking, okay, like in the winter, you need more vitamins. You need more, is it vitamin D? I think it's vitamin D, because like Sunny D growing up, this like super sugary like beverage, it was orange flavored, but Sunny D makes me think, okay, it's vitamin D. But I picked up some oranges and they were like some pretty big oranges. And of course they were in a package. But the like label said oranges on the bins. Like there was a bunch of bins and they also had oranges, and I get them home and I then look on the tag of the bag and they were grapefruit. So I bought like more grapefruit, even though we had a ton of grapefruit. Well, it's starting to look like not so happy. And one of the best things to do with like fruit that's kind of it's not looking the best, is to juice it, as long as there's like no mold on it or anything like that. So I've been juicing the grapefruit, trying to utilize it and, prevent it from going bad, like eating it up, using it. And so I have like some grapefruit juice here and I mixed it with some coconut water, and honestly, like it is super, super good. Like I don't know, like grapefruit juice, I feel like is slept on some, because why would you get grapefruit juice when you could have orange juice? It's a little less bitter, a little more sweet, but there's something to say. I love grapefruit juice. So yeah, I'm in the spring mood. I know it's not officially spring, but I know, like, I live in Missouri. Missouri can get quite warm at times, and so May, it could be, pretty hot out. So I try to experience spring when I can. And I feel like, of course, this is probably a false spring. Like it's not like, I think the temperatures are supposed to drop again, but it was something to be like, all right, it's fresh out. It's not as bad. Like it's nice, and kind of melt some of the snow. And my vehicle, oh my gosh, like my mom lives on a gravel road, and I forget how dusty gravel can get. And then with like snow and ice on, it needs to be washed. I also have been traveling, so like there's a couple like random things in the back that need to be taken inside. And like spring, or when it starts to warm up, even in the winter, because I know February is still winter and we're just out of January. Like there's no need to rush it. But I feel like it's like spring cleaning. It's like, all right, what can I do to kind of reset, recalibrate? I'm using February 1st as like the first of the year. Like this is kind of like a reset button for me, and to kind of just gain some stability on some of the things that I had intentions for. And then when things like went awry, to be able to lean back on. So I'm excited. I did go to Home Goods because a girl needs something to do, right? Like, I'm in a period where it's like, I need to be restful. I need not to be like working or focusing on things that I can't control, because when I actually need to be working, I want my brain to be rested. I want it to be able to function properly. And so if I have some downtime, I'm going to try and utilize it in the best way possible, whether that means to, browse. That's all I did. It's not even shopping. Like I browsed and I looked at everything. It was window shopping for sure. Anyways, I was for sure I wanted to look around. I wanted to do something with my time, and with like this spring on the horizon, I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, like how nice would it be if I was able to like update a couple things in our house, like our sheets. Our sheets could use a little refresh. And then I kind of got frustrated at myself because I'm like, Home Goods is not going to have the sheets I want. I tried really hard to have like lanolin sheet, or not lanolin. Lanolin is the lip ointment that I use. I meant linen sheets. 2 winters ago, we got linen sheets for Christmas, and they were really super nice until for some reason we I guess with like kicking or like moving our feet in bed, it kind of like ripped by where our feet are. And I don't know, because we only had one sheet and I was washing them and then drying them and immediately putting them back on the bed. Like they never got like transferred out. The linen gets softer with time. It gets broken down, and I think it just like the threads got broken down. So I don't know how to repair it, but I just started using another sheet that we had. It's 100% cotton. But I'm like, okay, like I'm at Home Goods. I'm getting inspiration. Like I might not be buying anything today, but there was a really, really cute bed set that had like little floral print. And there is a creator on TikTok. I cannot remember her name, but she always uses the sound. It's like doing my hair, doing the laundry. And it's like late night TV. I don't know. You'll Love Me Always. And she shows like these Jellycat bunnies, and they're so freaking cute. Okay. And she sells bed sheets, and then she customizes her Jellycats to like match the bedding. And I just think it is the most adorable thing ever. One of my very, very favorite things. Just seeing it, and the little stuffed bunny is like in the shower. It's like, in the shower, and then it's like all wrapped up in a towel, and then it's sitting in front of like a little TV with the rest of the stuffed animals. Like it's very, very cute, but it's extremely aesthetic. And I really want our sheets to kind of like, I want that so bad. And so I browsed some sheets. I browsed some like photo frames. I really want to do something with like my office wall, like whether it's wallpapering. I've been on a wallpapering kick for the last 2 years, but I cannot make a decision on which wallpaper to actually put up. And then I kind of get like nervous about making the commitment, but I'm just like, you know what? I need to do something. I need to make a change. I need to like really just experiment in what I want to do. So I'm going to be ordering some wallpaper sheets to see like how I like them. I think Southern Charm is also like adding to it, because Southern Charm, like I swear, one of the matriarchs in the Southern Charm, her name is Patricia. She is Whitney's mother, and she is this very fancy widowed woman. She has big bouffant hair, and it's stunning. And she is always at her home in silk robes. She has like a million pets, like little dogs just prancing around. Very elegant, very expensive looking. And her home is just like decorated so perfectly. Definitely like a Southern home. Wallpaper everywhere. Drapes matching the bed. Like it's so pretty. And of course, like it's a maximalist style. And I do not like the cottage clutter. I just is not something that I can get behind. I feel like it's very overwhelming. I want something that's simple, elegant, and is giving like a charming cottage, but not clutter. Like I don't like the cottage clutter. I know it's kind of like an aesthetic with like the knickknacks. It's not something I aspire. I cannot do it, but I would I do think, oh my gosh, like if I had wallpaper to match the sheets, to match my little Jellycat bunny ears, like that would be so cute. But yeah, it was so funny. Like here I am thinking about like updates for the house and things that I want. I talked about like last weekend how I really, really wanted a hot tub after our Cozy Gal weekend. I'm like, okay, gotta add hot tub to the home, to our house, renovations, to all the things that I want to do. And it was so funny this morning for breakfast. Garrett's like, okay, like I have a couple projects that I want to like run by you. And he was talking about like our mailbox, and he was talking about how he wanted to paint the shed to match the house. And I was like, okay. And I'm looking at all of his lists. I'm like, these sound great. Love them. And I was like, okay, like you added the things that you wanted. He did put like, he wants like some shrubbery or some flowers on like one side of the house. And I was like, okay, like you added yours. Now it's my turn. And I pulled out a pen, and he had like these nice bullets in between. And I was like, all right, I'm putting what I want. Number one was our mailbox. The mail person hit our mailbox, and so it's like all wonky. And with the winter, we haven't been able to like restabilize it. So I'm like, okay, mailbox number one, we can keep that. And then number two, I was like, hot tub. I like etched it in between like his number one and number two. He had bullets, so he didn't have numbers. So I guess we'll just have to go with mine. So I put hot tub, and then he said like paint the wall. In the hallway, the dogs will like rub against the wall. They'll like be walking, but have their entire body pressed against the wall. Like they're rubbing on it. It's so gross. But because our house was painted with like a matte paint, it like absorbs everything. I have a dry erase board in my office, and I have dropped my dry erase marker twice, and it has marked the wall, and I cannot get it up. I can't do it with magic eraser. I cannot do it with a microfiber towel. Like I've tried so many things, and it just kind of like spreads it. It like absorbs into it. And so I'm like, you know what? Yes, we need to paint the house. We need to do a little bit of fun updates. Like nothing is needed. Like our house is perfectly fine. We are happy with it. We could continue to live in it how it is, but it is fun to like customize it. It is fun to think, oh, what could make this really special? What would, elevate the experience? Because we do spend so much time at home, and with Patricia's like house, I'm like, oh, that's so elegant. That's so pretty. Or like her dining area where she's like hosting guests. I'm like, oh, what a dream it could be, right? But it was really funny. Garrett had like the same energy. It's like spring, and it's wanting to update things, and it's wanting to make small little changes. And anyways, bed sheets are, I wonder what that creator's name is, because the bed sheets and the little bunnies are so cute. And I feel like, of course, like I'm too old for a little stuffy, but am I too old for a little bunny rabbit? I think I want one. I'm going to order one. But last time I checked around December, and I kept thinking to myself, oh my gosh, like now's the time for thinking of others. I can't, be buying myself gifts. I should be buying other people gifts. And I'm definitely going to put Jellycat on the top of the list. But I just think it would be fun to do like a couple updates, and it's so funny. Like I'll make impromptu decisions on something. I'm like, oh, I have to do this immediately, or I have to do that. I have to do this. But the things that like truly like I want so bad, I'll like hem and haw over for months. And I'm like, what is it all for? Like I should just like make the decision, do it, and then I'll be happy about it, right? Like this mic, like if you are watching on YouTube, I did find like a little boom for the mic. I had like this one that was like sitting on the table, and it came over, and it was fine. It was great. But I really wanted one that wasn't connected to the table, but instead like the floor. And I have looked at it for probably 2 years. I kid you not. But other things like I'll buy so quickly. Like AG1 was having like a little sale for the first of the year. I was like, you know what? That's something that I've seen for a while. I made the decision to purchase it so quick. It was like impulsive. I was like, yep, I want to do it. I got this cute little morning person hat that really sold it for me. But I've been doing AG1. I'm like, okay, like here we go. And then what was the other thing? I felt like I purchased it like way too quickly. I'm like, oh gosh, like I didn't even really have time to think about it. But then now that I'm saying it, I have thought about AG1 for a while. Like I feel like the marketing is everywhere. I succumbed to their techniques, but so now I'm, using that every day. And then something like this, like a little mic. I mean, like, I know I'll use this every week, but I kept putting it off. And you know what? It was because I was looking at one that wasn't exactly what I needed. This one is what I needed. And it was like $28. I'm like, how many times do I go out to supper or I'll grab a bite to eat and I spend like equivalent, and when it boils down to that, like, all right, how much am I actually spending? Or will I use this every day? What's like the return on my happiness? I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have done this way sooner. So now I have like this little boom mic or like this chair. If you have been a long time listener, I thrifted like two chairs and I reupholstered them with a blanket. So I had like a little staple gun and I like stretched a blanket over it and just like stapled them to the bottom. And I was like, okay, this will work. Like the chair was like, I found one for $10 and the other one was for $5, and they were completely different chairs. But once I put the like blanket on top, it was the same like kind of Sherpa-y blanket. They were like sisters, right? Like they were not twins, they were sisters. And people didn't know it, but then I like wanted this chair and it's still not perfect, right? Like I still think that I could do updates to like the podcast studio in that regard. But the screen chair was like $70. I was like, okay, like I could have just bought like a new chair. I didn't have to like try reupholster. And honestly, like the bottom of one of the chairs scraped my floor, which was super annoying. But, it's those things that you don't really think about. You're like, how can I make this like an easier way? Or how can I like, how can I do it myself? Or how can I cheapen it up? Or what can I do, that it would cut corners on it, right? And we cut corners all the time. And I'm like, you know what? I just need to do the thing and it's going to bring me so much joy. And it's something that I don't have to worry about anymore. Like there are so many things that I like purchase and I'm like, oh, like I'm worrying about it all the time. If I purchase a shirt and it's not like a quality shirt or I know it's going to shrink, I pay the $5 because it's $5. And then I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I should have just bought like the higher quality because it would last me longer, I had a pair of Lulu leggings that for some reason, the stitching in the thigh started to come apart. I don't know what it was. Probably me putting them on. I don't know. But I took them back and they were like, you know what? It's been under a year since you purchased this. We'll just replace them for free. I'm like, that is definitely worth the $80 to $100 that I spent on a pair of leggings because now it's going to be updated. Like I'm going to be able to, replace them essentially. And if it was over a year, obviously that I wouldn't get it replaced for free, but it just made me think like some of the leggings that I bought from Target definitely have not lasted me that long. And they've like worn out. Or they like pill. Like there's so many different things that go on. And I'm like, oh, that's annoying. If I would have just bought what I wanted instead of like tried to cut corners or tried to think, oh, I actually don't need it. I can do something else. I can do something more simple. But yeah, so I did this little update and I'm thinking, you know what, like I can wallpaper, or I should get a little jelly cat with some ears. And I don't know. I'm just in this season, in this energy. I'm like, all right, like what can we do? What will refresh? What will make me happy? What can, bring a little bit of joy in this season of life, and also give me something to focus on. Give me something that I am able to, just worry about instead of other things. Sometimes you need the superficial to balance out everything else. And, if I can hyperfixate on bed sheets or on a Jellycat, I think I'm going to be able to make my own, because while I was at Home Goods, I was looking at all of the sheets and I was thinking to myself, you know what, honestly, like the sheet bag, because usually all the sheets come in a bag. I was like, I can just take the sheet bag and cut little ear inserts for the bunny and it would work out, I don't know. To me, it's like all the things that I have been putting on my list, procrastinating. I'm like, what are we procrastinating for? Like, let's get this done. Let's continue. Add to cart. Let's stop procrastinating about it. But I am really excited to do some spring cleaning. I also think it's just like helpful for your mind, soul, body to clear some things out and to, I don't know, just spring cleaning. The aesthetic, the vibrancy of it. It's like, okay, we are letting go of winter and we're just going into the spring. And I actually am doing something so exciting tomorrow. I have my first tennis lesson. And for me, like, this is kind of like, okay, spring is coming, summer is coming. Like, what kind of hobby do I want to do? Because people take winter in that way. Winter is like a very, it's a special time to plan things. It's to rest. It's to think about your year in retrospect. It's like, okay, what do I want to add? What do I want to take away? And I feel like I did that this winter for sure. And I let go of yoga. I was like, I can't be teaching twice a week anymore and trying to do my own yoga practice. And instead I had a little meetup for my social club, the Golden Gal Network. And I was like, okay, who knows how to play tennis? I would love to learn how to play tennis. So we had like a little toss around, a hit around. I don't know. We were doing the tennis thing together. We were playing, and one of the gals, she was like, you know what, you should really try, it's called Elite Tennis and Wellness, and it's in Overland Park. She's like, you should try it. They'll train you, and then you can like sign up for this like, course, and then, you can get additional training. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was like, this is something I'll do in the spring or do next year because I'll have more time. I won't be doing yoga. And I actually won tennis lessons. Luckiest girl in the world, if you ask me. I won tennis lessons and I start tomorrow. I'm so nervous, also really, really excited. And one of my friends, she just went through the training and she's like, you know what, like, it's super great. They walk you through the fundamentals. It's really immersive. It's really fun. And I was like, okay, like, I am excited for this. Before I won the tennis lessons, Garrett, actually, I had put it on my Christmas list. He got me a tennis racket. And so I'm excited to have my tennis racket and to like be this tennis girl. And I've tried not to buy a whole new wardrobe because that's the first thing you want to do, right? Like, you want to get the outfit, get the aesthetic. And I'm like, you know what? I will get that after, because I actually don't know what the end thing to do with tennis is. I need to look at everybody else and see what kind of tennis shoes are they wearing? What kind of skirt do they have? Not that any of that matters for tennis actually in all reality, but it's like an aesthetic. It's something I put on my mood board. I'm like, this year I'm going to learn tennis. Last year I became a yoga instructor and I, learned the fundamentals of yoga. And they say like your brain, it's harder for it to learn new things. One, if you don't continue to try and push yourself and learn new things, but two, if you reach a certain age, it's like harder to learn things. And I don't want to ever have my brain not be as elastic. I want my neurons to continue to make new pathways and learn new things. They also say tennis is so good for like your body. And when you reach, those golden years, those years later in life, and having a hobby and having something to do can be really helpful. One, socially, but two, just like moving your body, getting the cardio, the hand-eye coordination. And I'm I'm excited. I know I'm romanticizing it, of course, and I think everybody should romanticize their life and the things that they're doing, but I'm like, I'm going to learn something new that I've never done before. It is lessons twice a week, so I will be going to lessons twice a week. It will be so much fun, batting around this tennis. We will see how I feel about it afterwards, but I'm looking forward to it. And now that I have a tennis racket, you just get a couple tennis balls, and there are so many courts around. I know a couple of my friends can play tennis, so I'm like, perfect. We can just play some tennis this summer. I feel like everyone who plays tennis is just so lean and long, and they're in the sun, and so they're happy. I don't know. I'm chasing the aesthetic. Okay, don't get me wrong, chasing the aesthetic, and I am excited to partake in it. So that is like part of one of my resolutions or my new year goals, new year intentions, is to play tennis. So I'm doing that tomorrow, for the first time. We'll see how day one goes. I don't know. Like, I feel like I already could feel like a shift happening last fall into the winter, like November, December. I kept saying, I was like, I feel like I'm going into a new era. I feel like things are going to change in a way that they've never been before. And in so many ways, I was so right. It just wasn't the way that I thought it was going to be. And so I know with change comes like exciting things, and you can either look at change as, this bad, horrible thing that you're going to have to grow. You're going to have to, get uncomfortable. And you can take that as a negative of like, ooh, I don't want to get uncomfortable. I want to stay comfortable. I want things how they always have been. And I agree. Like, I would love things for them to have stayed as they were, but they didn't. They changed. Something, happened. And I get to decide how I move forward. Like, will I be positive with it? Will I cope negatively? Where will I be spending my time? What are my intentions? And so, in so many ways, I'm thankful for myself setting things in motion in winter, right? They always say the things that you do in winter will show you, where your path will take you for the spring, right? That's when things start blooming. That's when things that you've planted in the winter start to come out of the ground, and they start to grow, take root, if you will. And then summer, that's where the work comes in. You're like, okay, I have to nurture these things that I've planted. I have to make sure that they are getting the water, getting the sun, getting the nutrients that they need, the foundational things. And then you have fall, and fall is very exciting because it's like the harvest of things. You get to take a look at it and think, okay, like, I worked hard all summer. I made the plans, I did the things, and now I get to enjoy the benefits. And then it starts all over. You go into winter and it's like, all right, I get to assess how I spent the last year, what I want to do moving forward, how I'm going to adjust. And I don't know, like, I'm thankful for myself, like, setting up the tennis initiative. Like, okay, like, we're moving towards like physical activity, doing something socially, starting something that I had never tried before. And it's just a new era. I know it's a new era, a new time, a new year. You get to decide. And I know a lot of people feel fatigue around this time. They feel like, they might have had the intentions. They might have had like this super exciting plan, and it's not going how they expected. Or it's like, oh, like I wanted to get back in the gym. Like, I know that's a lot of people's intention. Or I want to save money, and they've already gone over budget. Like, it's a new month. Guys, it is February 2nd, or whenever you're listening to it. But when I am putting this episode out, it is February 2nd. It is a whole new month, baby. We have 4 weeks of you get to decide how you're spending this month. Maybe your intentions for January didn't come to fruition like you wanted, but what is like a little small win that you could do? What is something that you could like put into the basket of like, heck yes, like we are moving forward to the goal that we wanted. Maybe you do your journal like I did, and you're pasting photos in there, and then you're journaling alongside of them. For me, I'm like, okay, like tennis is on one of my lists, and I can't wait to like, that's a small win. Like, I'm going to take a month of tennis lessons, and I know, I know I'm not going to be a pro. Okay. I know that there's so much to learn, but it's like the start, and I can put that as an easy win. One of my goals for the new year is always having like a coffee and journaling or reading in the morning. Like, that's an easy thing. If I spend the next 4 weeks doing that small thing of having my journal, reading, and, drinking my coffee, that's the start of a habit. That's the start of a goal. And I'm really excited that I'm like, okay, it's a new month. There's so many new things to do. Always my intention is like to connect. And again, something that I've planted that is starting to grow is like my social club, but it's also like all of the connections, all of the friendships that I've made in the last year. And I've been really, really thankful for a lot of the friendships that I, didn't have a year ago that I've cultivated and have been really enjoying and leaning on as friends. I've gone out to lunch because I've been back and forth, like different states. It's been really hard to, fit everybody into the schedule, but I'm just trying to have faith that everybody who is coming into my life is meant to be in my life for a reason. And instead of just like leaning into this, like, oh, I'm so tired, or I'm so sad, or I want to stay home, I don't want to go out, like, I just want to walk. I am really trying to like put myself out there and say yes to things again. Like, I have said no to a lot of things, and I have taken a lot of things off my plate. And I think all of those were important because I want to be able to move forward, and I want to say yes to the things that actually fill up my cup and not the things that are like dragging me down. And I feel like so many of the connections that I've made, I have been so appreciative of, and just really thankful that they have came into my life for one reason or another. And you never know how things will shake out, or what you'll need a person for. But this past weekend I have book club. Okay. We read Mistakes We Never Made by Hannah Brown. And if you guys remember, if you've been a long time listener of the show, I read this book back last May when it was on pre-sale. I got it immediately. I think Hannah Brown was like, her bachelorette season was during, like, we watched Colton's season in the sorority house. So I was still in college, right? Like, it's very nostalgic, although like she's definitely grown into more of my favorite bachelorette. I don't really watch the franchise anymore. But like, she was someone who at the time wasn't like my number one favorite, but I've definitely like grown to love her a lot more. And after reading or listening to her memoir in her voice last spring, I really enjoyed her, and just like learning about her background. And I think that is with a lot of people. Like, we have this kind of like first impression of people, and until you know where a person has came from or what they've been through, you really can't make like a good assessment of the person. And I feel like after listening to her memoir, I was like, okay, I understand where she was coming from. I understand the things that she was saying or what she was doing. And so, it's also kind of fun. Like, it's a part of pop culture. It's a part of, just funness. And it also is like nostalgic because that was like the last little bit of normalcy, before, I graduated, before, 2019, 2020. And, anyways, so watching her, listening to her, and then reading her book, I was like, oh my gosh, her book is like, so telling. Like, if you know about her memoir, it kind of like goes hand in hand, but she is releasing a second book. So I was like, you know what, it might be fun just to read this book as a group. It was also a book I had already read. So it was an easy lift as I was like dealing with all the things that I dealt with this January. And I was like, all right, we're going to have book club. So we had book club yesterday at Two Sugars Coffee. And let me tell you, if you are in the Kansas City area, you need to go to Two Sugars. It is the sweetest, cutest little coffee shop. The wall, they have like this artistic pink and orange wall piece. It is beautiful. It's so pretty. It's like very cozy vibes. You can get a chair, you can stay, you can drink a coffee, like hang out for a little bit, have your laptop. It's a very aesthetic, very cool place. The person who owns it is so sweet, and I met her last summer. Anyways, we had 8 gals who came to book club. We read Mistakes We Never Made, and it was so fun to just like listen to everybody's perspective and what they thought of the book, and also like the dynamics. For me, it was fun to focus on someone else's life besides mine, and just like, I don't know, discussing the characters and what would you do if you were in this situation, or was this person a good friend, or was that person a good friend? And it was really fun. We stayed for so long. We got there at like 9:30. We didn't leave until 12:30. Like everybody was just chatting, having a great, awesome time. But as we're like having conversation and chatting and like connecting, I just couldn't help but think, oh my gosh, like I did not know any of those girls a whole year ago. Like I had never even known them. And I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, like how lucky am I that on a Saturday that I wouldn't necessarily want to be like, I don't know, like I wouldn't want to actually be out. Like I would want to be in my bed. I would want to be wallering. I want to be, in the shower or something that's like not as productive. Right. And then I'm like with these gals and I'm thinking, oh, how lucky am I that I get to be part of a community that I can just like sit and chat with and don't have to worry about a thing. Like we can talk about something that is like so surface level and feels so good. And then one of my friends, after, she had texted me a couple days ago, and she had just said, hey, like after book club, would you want to like grab something to eat? Would you want to have lunch with me? And I read it and I was like, I need to get back to her. And then I waited 2 days and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to text her back. And I ended up, I was like, hey, you know what? That would be great. If you still have the time, like, let me know. And she did. And so we had lunch after book club, and I talked to her, like, I didn't leave there until like 3. I got home so late. It was like 4:00, and it was just really, that wasn't surface level, right? Like the lunch that we had was deep. It was connective. It was, I cried. It was like a lot of things that I needed. And I'm just like appreciative of the seeds that I planted. It's been a whole year of the Golden Gal Network, and I am just so appreciative of the friendships that I've made, the connections I've made. I had another girl reach out. I had met her during one of my gal dinners, and she had reached out, right when I posted about my dad, and she messaged me. She's like, hey, I lost my mom last year. If you ever want to talk, like, please let me know. And I was like, oh my gosh, like how sweet is she that she reached out to me? Like she's hurting herself. But to put someone else's feelings like over yours is just like a really selfless, kind thing to do. And so I actually had lunch with her today, and I had only met her one prior time, and while it was like a great conversation, like the conversation today was just like so incredibly intimate, and it was like we both shared things that we want to share just like with anybody, and it made me just appreciative of the humans around me, so appreciative of like connection, and I'm really appreciative of like both of those gals, both of those women who reached out to me, and both of them also have things going on in their life, and to be so selfless to like put me or check in with me, it was just so incredibly kind. And so I'm really, really grateful for the people who have reached out, the people that I've been able to like lean on. But I know those friendships aren't just from nowhere, right? Like you have to have those tough conversations. You have to clear out the clutter. You have to do the things in order to have a healthy circle, a healthy group, like and I know in the past, like I might not have had like I know I didn't have like these friendships because I hadn't met them before. But that just goes to show like you don't know what the future holds. You don't know who is going to be there. You don't know the capacity of like the good things that are still coming is what I'm trying to say, right? Like a year ago, I couldn't dream of what this has turned into. I couldn't dream of the connections I'd have or the situation I would be in, like some good, most good, some bad, right? Like, but I don't know. I'm just really, really thankful for like the opportunity to have my meetup group or the chance to be able to just like connect with a person on a deeper level for something that just isn't, it's like uncomfy, right? Like it's not like a great topic. But yeah, so I'm so thankful for them. But I also like, I'm realizing I'm really thankful for some of the men in my life. Just there's so many, like Garrett for one, like my husband, he's just like has stepped up in so many ways that I just really needed. And not like he hasn't before, but just like incredible kindness, obviously he's not doing well either. But for both of us to be able to like have each other is nice. And then, like my brother-in-law has came and helped, my brother David. He wasn't anyway, I don't know. It's just like my brother has had like some health concerns, and like my brother-in-law Michael like really stepped up and came to help like my mom and my brother and I this past week. So that's been so helpful. My dad's best friend, Jason, has been calling and checking in on my mom constantly. And that's so nice. And I'm just so appreciative of the people that I have in my life right now, is what I'm trying to say. Is like, I'm so appreciative of everybody who is just like been in my life. Like my best friend, Andrew, like he's also like, checking in on me and making sure that I'm doing well, even though he's all the way in Florida. Right. And so I don't know, like in the winter, you're going to have to make some hard decisions. You're going to have to like clear some things out. And maybe you haven't done that yet. Maybe you have not taken the time to assess your relationships. I know that I audit things constantly. I'm making sure that I'm surrounding myself with positive people. I'm making sure that, I'm spending my time in a fruitful way that I am happy, right? Like, because I feel like if I hadn't set myself up for this, I might be reacting to it in a different way. And I don't like to think about that, right? Like, so anyways, I'm trying to keep the vibes positive. I'm trying to, just look forward to the good things coming in this new year, because there is so many opportunities, and there's 12 months in a year. Okay. There's 12 months in a year, and the first month was heinous, but we're going to move forward. We're going to, I'm going to do my best. I got to do my best. And I guess I don't know how to like navigate it, because I've never had to navigate it before. So maybe you're going through the same thing, or maybe you have no idea what I'm talking about. And so I am so sorry, for the last, 5-10 minutes that I've talked about this, but, I guess I'm really grateful, even though like things have not gone my way. I'm super, super grateful, because I know that everything will work itself out. I just have to be patient. I have to be patient and positive, because even before, as I was trying to get my, my social club together, like there's things that stressed me out back then, like my job or, relationships or whatever. So I'm excited, out with the old and with the new. Thank you, spring. I will say I trimmed my hair today, out with the old, if you know what I mean. I've been meaning to schedule a hair appointment, seriously, but I don't have that much time in my schedule right now. Like I've been traveling a lot. Like I have a lot coming up, my tennis lessons, all the things. One of my pet peeves, but the number one pet peeve I have is incompetence. The second pet peeve I have is people saying they're busy all the time. And I feel like I've just done it, right? Like I'm so busy. If you have time to talk about how busy you are, you're actually not that busy. I'm going to rephrase that. I've not made it a priority to go get my hair done, to like drive the 30 minutes to get my hair cut or whatever, because I know it's just a trim. I've never trimmed my hair before, but today I was like, you know what? I could probably do it. Like I've heard so much about like my friends talking about cutting their hair and like trimming it down, and I really just need to like nip off a little bit. So I did that today. I was like, you know what? I'm going to just like trim the little bit, and I use that as like a little bit of an emotional release. I'm like, okay, snip away some of the bad, we're going to go fresh cut. It always feels good. Taking care of yourself always feels good. Back to the bed sheets. Like I took an everything shower. You know what that means? Like the legs were shaved because it's spring. Okay. I could possibly have sundresses in the horizon. Probably not. But I'm just like, okay, like I'm going to get in my softest pajamas. I'm going to cozy up in my clean sheets on my bed, like taking the time to just like take care of myself in those ways. I have a massage scheduled for this week, and I'm like really looking forward to it. I went to schedule this massage like before my sister-in-law's wedding. I was like, okay, like I need to schedule it. I need to get it booked. And then I was like, you know what? As soon as I get back, I will schedule it. And then I was like, maybe, but whatever, it did not get done. And when I came back from being in Iowa for 2 weeks, I was like, I need to schedule it. I need to take care of myself in some way possible so that I'm feeling good. And I know that we hold so much tension in our muscles. Oh, guys, I woke up, the middle of my forehead was like kind of furrowed. And I've talked about, I've gotten Botox before. I've not gotten Botox in probably over a year. But I have been doing facial manipulation where I've been, every time I put on my oil, I'm like trying to lift it and just stretch it upward and like make sure I'm stretching out the muscles in my face and gua shaing. And anyways, I felt like there's been so much tension in between my eyebrows and just like trying to pressure point it. And this morning I woke up and I kind of had like a little indent in between, like where I don't know if my face was just like pressed into a pillow or what, but I'm about to tape my forehead when I go to bed. I'm already using mouth tape, and I will say I just got the Skinny Confidential mouth tape. I've had other mouth tapes. It sticks on. The adhesive is like so strong, so much so that when I pulled it off, I was like, oh my gosh, did I just wax my upper lip? Like it was like very sticky. It didn't actually wax my upper lip, but I was like, man, like this stayed on in the night. Like I've had it where I could feel it, like where I'm half asleep, half awake, and I like can feel it. But with this, oh my gosh, she was like pressed on. But now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like I need to put one on my forehead. I need to like stretch it up. Because I've just like had so much tension in my forehead. But anyways, trying to take care of your physical body can be so helpful for like your mental health as well. And mental health is so important. With these like longer days in the spring coming, I'm ready to go on walks. I'm ready to go outside, and I could have taken a walk today. I thought about it. I did, but then I just got again, fake busy. I'm like, oh, I have just too much on my plate. I could actually go on a walk after this podcast. I could go outside. The windows have been open this entire time. I hope it wasn't too noisy. But I was like, you know what? I could go on a walk this evening. Like that would be really, habit forming of me to go outside, go on a walk, get some fresh air. Because, I was inside a building today, although I should have rolled down my windows. I don't know. I think fresh air is so good for the soul and so good for the body. I saw something on social media. It was like every time I was sick, my mom would bundle me up and put me outside. And I was like, oh, like actually, like that makes so much sense. Like just getting fresh air. So that's what I've been doing, like getting some fresh air, opening up the window and like taking some time to just like revel in the fresh, sweet smell of fake spring, if you will, this fall spring that we're having, the spring before the actual spring. So, I think it's overall just like really good for you, if you can make it happen. And it hasn't even been that chilly in here. I thought maybe I would be able to tell if it was like getting too cold, because me, guys, I've been that reminds me, I have started a new vitamin, and I seriously, I think I have an iodine deficiency, where my iodine is so low. So I did this little swatch with iodine where I put like a patch. I think I've talked about it before, and mine disappeared like so quickly. Well, I started a new vitamin that actually has iodine in it, and it gives me, or maybe it was the AG1. I don't think it was AG1. It's either AG1 or the new multivitamin I started taking. I really think that it's helping. Like, my feet have not been as cold. And then what was it's kind of confidential back again. Okay. So I talked about the mouth tape. I also got the beauty water that she just released, with the colostrum and the pearl powder and electrolytes. Oh my gosh. Like, I mixed the AG1 and the, beauty water, and then I have some Glossy left. You might remember me talking about Glossy back in August. It is like a collagen boosting. I mix all three of those bad boys up, and honestly, it tastes pretty good. And I take that with my multivitamin. And I feel like, you know what? 2025 is the year of me just taking care of myself. Okay. I'm taking care of myself with the friendships. I'm taking care of myself and my home and my activities and all the things. Like, this is going to be the year that is like so monumental. I want to look back and be like, you know what? It was a pit. Like, there was so many hard things, but also I did not react to those in a poor way. Like, I used it as a learning, a growing year, instead of like, oh, I just, I lost that year. Like, I don't want that, to where I look back and think, oh gosh, like, I just kind of stayed stagnant. I want to be continuously growing. I want to be working in a positive way, right? Like, that's what the Golden Hour Drip podcast is all about. Like, finding the gold, finding like that best hour, and just like working towards it. So thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're listening to audio, rate, review, all of the things, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.